Lesson 5.5 is on translation. The EQ is how can you use translations to make a pattern? So we're going to look into more of a geometry and figures part of the lesson more so. And we're going to start with translation. Now before we start with the translation, I'm going to define a transformation, which is a very similar idea but a little different. So let's take a look at it. A transformation is, as you can see from the word transformation or like transformers, it's something that would change into another thing. So a transformation is a figure changing into another figure. When you have a transformation, usually you have the original, and then when you have the transformated shape, you call that the image. Depending on the change, the image may be identical, image may be enlarged or decreased in sizes, and so forth. Now, a translation is a part of transformation, but you have a specific way of changing it into another image. A translation, all you have to do is to slide the figure without turning, and wherever you place the first figure, that's going to be your image. So it's going to move a distance, but without changing its formats of how it's laid out, how it looks. So let's say I have a star shape, and let's say I moved it to the right, and let's say I moved the figure to the right. Now, my original one is going to be the one on the left. And because I moved the original figure to the right side and I just slide it to the right side without changing the format, it's going to be the image. Now, if you don't have any coordinate planes when you're moving your original image to another place and making an image, you don't really have to worry about anything. You just have to make sure that the shape is exactly the same. It's not flipped, it's not turned over or anything like that. But when we have the coordinate plane, we actually have some rules that we can apply instead of just saying, oh, it moved to a different position. So let's take a look at this question. I drew a coordinate plane. I have a little more on the positive side on the right and also x and y's. Just because my shapes are going to be more on the right side of the coordinate plane. Let's say I have 3 points to create a triangle. I have -2, 1. My second point is going to be 2, 5. And then my third point is going to be 1, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and graph these points. I'm going to first look at A, which I start with a -2. So I go 1, 2, and then 1, and that's going to be my point. And then my second point is going to be B, which is going to be 2, 5. So I go to the right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's going to be my point B. And then I'm going to work on C, which is going to be 1, 2. So I go 1 to the right, 2 to the top, and C. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots to make a triangle. Now from this triangle, let's say they're asking us to translate this original triangle 3 units right and 3 units down. So I'm going to use a different color to move each dot and then draw the new image of a new triangle. I'm going to start with the first point, A. I'm going to move 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, and 3 to the down, 1, 2, 3. And when I move it, I am going to name this new point as A prime with A and apostrophe like this on the side. I'm going to repeat the same thing for B. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3 on the right. And then I'm going to go 3 to the bottom and make. And this new dot is going to be called B prime. I'm going to repeat the same thing for C, which you're going to go to the right 3 times, 1, 2, 3. and then continue going down 3 units, and it's going to be C prime. And you're going to connect all the dots again to create the triangle. As you can see, the first one, the original triangle, and the second one, they are identical in sizes. The only difference is from the first shape to the image, it just slide over to the right 3 units and down 3 units. And you can find out the image of it. Now, I'm going to find out the coordinate points of the image. So for A prime, you have 1, comma, -2. For B prime, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, so 5, comma 2. And for C prime, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, so 4, comma, -1. Now we're going to find some patterns to see what we're trying to do here. And sometimes without graphing all the points, you can find out the new coordinate points for the image by adding or subtracting numbers. So let's take a look at it. From figure A, the first number is -2. And then after moving right, my number is going to change to 1. So if you simply add -2 and 3, it's going to become a +1. And that's going to be your new x value for my first A prime. Same thing if I want to find out the y value. In this case, you are going 3 units down. So you're going to subtract 3 from your y value, which is 1. And when you subtract 3 from a +1, you're going to actually go into a negative number, and it comes out to be a -2. So let's see if the rest of the points are following this same pattern. My 2 is right here for the B. 2 and 3 unit rights. 2 plus 3, which is 5, as you can see it here. And then you start from 5 for the y value, and you do 5 minus 3. In this case, when you look into this, 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. And last but not least, C, you're going to move 3 units to the right first. And then again, you're going to move 3 units down, so 2 minus 3, which will give you the result of -1. So really, for all your columns on the left, right here, these are going to be your x values, and the columns on the right is going to be your y values. If you move left or right, you're going to add or subtract here. If you move up or down, you're going to add or subtract on the right side. So let's say if our original coordinate plane is x, comma, y, then your translated point, which is going to be indicated with prime, it's going to be either adding or subtracting a number to your x and the y value. When you're moving something to the right side, you're going to add to the value of x. And if you are going up, you're going to add how many units you're going up to the y value. Similarly, if you're moving your figure to the left, you are going to subtract it. And if you are moving down the units, you're going to subtract it for the y value if you're going down. Okay, so these are going to be very important because this will help you find your new coordinate point without even drawing the actual image. So let's work on these practice questions. Let's say we have a square A, B, C, D with these following points, coordinate points. I'm not going to draw it yet. We're going to work on the questions first and see if they are translated. Okay, so let's say I have square A, B, C, D. And let's say we have to draw a figure and make its image after a translation of 4 units left and 6 units up. Now they already gave me some hints here. 4 units left. So what am I going to do? I am going to actually subtract the number from x, right? And then for 6 units up, I am going to move 6 units to the top, or just add 6. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out my A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime by adding, or actually subtracting 4 to my x values and adding 6 to my y values. Now I went ahead and wrote A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. If you want to try to find out these new points, you can go ahead and pause this video and try writing the answers. And then once you're done, you can unpause this video and I'll have the answers for you. Okay, first I'm going to actually write down the equations, and the equation looks like this. And if you notice, I have two number sets that are going to be equal to each other. So I have 1 minus 4 here, 1 minus 4 here, 3 minus 4 here, 3 minus 4 here. It's because square, you're going to have the same distance, top and bottom and sideways. So you're going to end up with two of the same numbers. Same thing for this one and this one. So let's go ahead and fill in the numbers. 1 minus 4 is going to be negative 3. And negative 2 plus 6 is going to be a positive 4. I know that D is going to have the same x value as A. And let's go ahead and work on the second one. I have B minus 4, which is going to be negative 1, and negative 2 plus 6, which is the same thing as this, 4. The third one, I'm using the same numbers as this one, which is going to be then still negative 1. And negative 4 plus 6 is going to give me positive 2. Now my only number left is going to be from D prime, which is the same thing as the one above C prime's y value, which is going to be 2. Now that I have my primes for the image, if you're not sure, you can always check by actually graphing the squares onto a graphing paper. So I actually went ahead and drew this graph to show you how things are going to work. Now this is a great way to check your answers. You may not be required to draw the graph all the time, but right now for practice, I want you to draw the graph so you can see that these answers that we worked on are going to be the translated version, the image of the square ABCD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these numbers here, and then I'm going to graph my square again. If you graph all your numbers, it should look like this. Hopefully it looks very similar or looks the same like this. The key point of this lesson is to make sure all the points that you have are going to move in the same way. So if you moved one of them 4 units left and 6 units up, that means you're going to move the rest of the numbers 4 units left and 6 units up. You can't just use one of them and say, oh, I'm going to move 5 units left and 3 units up. It's not going to be the same shape. So that's the key point that you'll have to know. To indicate that you actually watched this video, next to your name when you're turning in your assignment, I want you to put a little smile, and I'll give you some extra credit. So have fun, good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.